Joining me now to further discuss President Obama's first trip to Israel is Ari Ratner with the Truman Project on National Security. Ari, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Pleasure to be with you.
I want to get your take on this visit to Israel so far. What do you think will realistically come out of all of this?
Well, this is a very important trip, but it's not important in the ways we normally think of high-level diplomacy. Nothing major is going to be decided on this trip. There's going to be no major changes on U.S. policy towards the Arab-Israeli conflict, towards Iran, towards Syria. But what the president is doing is really going out, reaching out to the Israeli people, reaching out to the people of the Middle East in general to say that he's committed to this region, that he understands the concerns of the peoples of the region, and that his administration going forward is going to pay particular attention to this issue, which a lot of his critics have said he's neglected in his first term.
Let's turn to the meeting with Mahmoud Abbas. Obama is really only spending a fraction of his time there. What is the perception among Palestinians?
Well, obviously the perception of President Obama, as well as the perception in America, of America in general, is more complicated than it is in Israel. We have a very close relationship with the Palestinian Authority. We're one of their major suppliers of donor funds and of security assistance. But obviously the Palestinians are understandably not pleased with how the peace talks have developed to this point. It's very important the president goes there, that he listens. He also has a couple meetings with some youth groups. He's going to go to the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem. So he's trying to make a similar type of outreach to Palestinians. But it's a much more difficult situation, and the Palestinian leadership itself is, of course, divided between the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza.
Let's turn to the situation with Iran and its nuclear program. Will Obama have any kind of influence at all on how Israel handles itself with Iran going forward on this issue?
Well, very clearly the American president has a lot of influence on Israel on this issue and on many other issues. As you heard the prime minister say, Israel views it as its right to unilaterally take action if they so see fit. And the United States generally agrees with that position. But as a practical matter, it's very unlikely that Israel is going to take any sort of major action without at least some sort of cover from the United States. And if the president wants to prevent that, he has quite the opportunity to do that. So this will be a major topic of conversation. But I think the major thing that happened today is that they agreed on the timeline, which is that they have a year according to their assessment, until Iran has the bomb. That's not a long time, but it isn't a month. So there'll be continuous diplomacy on this going forward.
All right, Ari Ratner, thank you so much for joining us from Chicago tonight.
Pleasure to be with you.